something?
This is our third video.
Awesome. Okay. All right. Speak Lifers, welcome back to our video. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about redemptive and magnanimity. We're magnifying suffering.
Yes.
Yes. Redemptive suffering.
Say it correctly.
Yes. Oh man. All right. I feel like there's so much to say. Like,
Yeah.
this first, like, just what is suffering? Like, what, like, why? I feel like when people suffer so many times, like we tend to blame God a lot
Yeah.
for our sufferings. And
And in that sense, like, we're blaming God, but really, that's not the truth. Like, you know, oh, say hello to Sky.
oh, so cute.
Over here. But we need to, like, inner think of ourselves, you know, like, is that really, that's not really true.
Right. Exactly. And I feel like everything happens for a reason. And like, which is so shallow. I feel like that's so shallow in a way, just because like there can be some crazy suffering, and it's like, yes, everything happens for a reason, but like it's for a purpose. Like, there's a purpose for our suffering, for why we're suffering, what we're suffering, and that like everything is either willed, seen, ordained, or accepted by God, and it's like just seeing it through His eyes,
Yes.
with His heart. And it's like, I wonder, like, how do we do that? How do we see suffering through His eyes? And
Right.
I guess what's helped me a lot, especially like having like an illness that I know I'm gonna have for the rest of my life. Like having an illness that like affects my it affects me mentally, emotionally, spiritually,
Right.
like everything. Like just having something, like it's endometriosis, and having that, and seeing it through the light of Christ, it helps, like, just looking at the crucifix, and thinking, like, you know what, God allowed His own Son to suffer, to be crucified, and it was for so that a greater good may come out of it.
Yeah.
For our salvation and redemption.
Like, He has plans for all of us.
Right, He's got plans for all of us and all of our sufferings, and
Yeah.
I feel like God doesn't, like, looking at the crucifix, I feel like God doesn't want us to go inwardly in ourselves, but to see things with the eyes of hope and with the eyes of faith.
Right.
Um,
I always think of, like, when I go to Mass and I have communion, I'm not sure about anyone else, but I feel spiritually better.
yeah.
I feel happier. I feel so much more relaxed after I receive that communion. And like, just as after communion and just looking at the cross and just looking at Jesus, I'm like, I am good.
Right.
I feel good.
Dude, I can so relate. Oh my gosh. Like when I go into communion, and just like thinking, like knowing that's Jesus.
Yeah.
Like that's His body, blood, soul, and divinity, and like we can't, like, that He makes Himself so tangible, I guess.
Yeah.
And that He, like, and and that like, even though He ascended, like, this has been coming to my mind so much in prayer, that even though, like, just praying my rosaries, like, even though Jesus ascended into heaven, and he went up into heaven, and He's still here, like,
Yeah.
He's still present,
You
and
can feel His presence. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And like he's still here in person and wants to be with us and
Yeah.
to be one with us in the Eucharist.
Yeah. And I think like with all the miracles that all the saints have like shown through Jesus,
Hmm.
that really shows that he really is here.
Right, yeah. It's like he's here, he's
People
present.
don't,
Like,
there's some people who don't believe that, but I'm like, don't you see it? Like, hello?
right. I feel like people are expecting like some giant thing to happen,
Yeah, no, it's,
like miracle or
yeah.
whatever. And like, but there's miracles happening every single day.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
This and even like the Eucharist is a miracle.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Um, yeah, and it's like, and like with the Eucharist, like that helps so much with redemptive suffering because, like, redemptive suffering, like, what is redemptive suffering? Um, it's when we have suffering, whatever it is, spiritual, mental, emotional, physical, and like saying, Jesus, I give this to you, like, I offer it up to you. And like, I unite it to your passion and death and to your own sufferings and offering it up for like you can offer it up for I don't know our brothers, our sisters, our parents, the church,
Right. Anyone, yeah.
anyone, anything, and uniting our suffering to His and being so close to Him and being like, Lord, use this suffering for somebody else, and like through my suffering, may grace come to another person, and being willing to suffer for others and offering ourselves up in our sufferings, like as a victim suffering for Christ in our suffering.
Yeah.
And it's like it has meaning, it has purpose. And it's so powerful too.
Oh, heck
That
yeah.
suffering is so powerful.
I always think of the one prayer, for the sake of the sorrowful passion, have mercy on us and the whole world. Like, Jesus did, like, sacrifice himself for
Hmm.
the sake of a sorrowful passion, you know?
Right, for the sake of sorrowful passion. And it's like, oh my gosh, like to offer it up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
it's like
offering himself
uniting.
up, you know?
Right, he offers himself up for us, and we should, like, it's like we're doing the same thing. Like, we're offering up ourselves in suffering
Yeah,
and uniting it to him and his cross. And it's like, he uses that, like, he uses our sufferings for good and to give grace to other souls.
right.
And it's like yeah, nobody likes to suffer and nobody like
No.
asks to suffer, but it's in a way like when it comes to us, um, I feel like we should respond, like do our best to respond with like humility and with
Oh, yeah.
like like how Jesus did, um, saying like Lord, like not my will but your will be done, or as the Blessed Mother did, saying like how she responded to Jesus being crucified and his suffering, and
Yeah,
with her fiat of um, humility and placing herself in the hands of God,
right.
knowing that it's completely in his hands. And I feel like suffering is like a beautiful rose in disguise.
Oh, for sure. That's a good example, too. Love that example.
Yeah. And I don't know, I feel like suffering helps us do like there's so many good things that suffering brings in the soul. Like so many saints became saints because like through suffering.
Yeah.
Um like sometimes suffering, um one way that we can look at suffering is like as a warning, and God giving us a warning through our suffering, saying like um to not like maybe our suffering came because God's wanting to tell us something, whether
Right.
it's like something that will help us get to heaven, and like for us not to do something again, um, and for our own purification and sanctification, and like everything.
Yeah.
Hmm. And then like I feel like suffering too can be seen as um like us surrendering our wills to God
Right.
at the
Yeah.
present moment.
I always think of like a suffering as like, so I was born with autism, very high functioning autism.
Hmm.
But of course I've always had hard times, like my thing was like I didn't like communication with people. I was a very quiet child. So that was also very hard. But
Hmm.
learning through that, like I mean at the beginning, yes, I blamed God. I'm like, why do I have this? Why?
Right.
But then I began to accept it and I'm like, you know what?
Hmm.
This is my suffering. I gotta live with it, but I'm gonna work through it.
Right, right.
Here
And
I
it's
am today.
so beautiful, right? That's exactly like when I was diagnosed 3 years ago with endometriosis. Um, that's exactly like it was so
Yeah.
hard because it's like here
Like
I
at first you're like so frustrated with it and you're blaming
right.
God, but then the more and more you live with it, you're like, you know what? This is who I am. I gotta deal with it and I'm
Hmm.
I'm gonna power through it.
Right, and it's like all of this grace, and it's like I realized that even though I didn't know I had it, like had endometriosis,
Hmm.
even though like apparently I've had it since I was 8 and I didn't know
Oh
until
wow.
I was
Yeah,
like
wow.
right, like I've had it since I was 8 and like symptoms
Interesting.
and stuff that I didn't know. Like it takes like approximately 15 years to diagnose, but like nobody told me. Like I had never heard about it before.
Right.
So when I was diagnosed with it and they told me, I'm like, wait, what? Like I've never heard of that before. What?
Yeah, yeah, like what is that?
Right? And like, what can I do? And uh, all that stuff. So it's been taking me like 3 years to actually like really know as much as I can about it. But yeah, and it takes like 15 years approximately to diagnose.
Right.
And so I've had it since I was 8, but I didn't find out until I was 23.
Yeah, yeah.
So and it was going untreated for that amount between the age of 8
That
and 18.
yeah, yeah.
So it got like really bad. I needed to have surgery and
Oh man.
but like it always the thing is like with endometriosis you can have it like everything you can have stuff removed, but it's like whether it's like I had one of the things I had removed was like a mass in my
Hmm.
polyps, and it was making me like bleed, like all this stuff. And you can have stuff removed in it in surgery, but the thing is, like cancer, you can have stuff removed, but it always comes back.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like I have endometriosis, but I don't have like the mass and stuff
You
that.
don't have the worst part of it.
Right, I don't have the worst part of it.
Yeah.
Um, but I still have like pain and like the crazy symptoms and like all this stuff that I have
Yeah.
to deal
Yeah.
with. But it's like in the beginning, learning about it and what it was, it's like I got really frustrated and
Oh
irritated
yeah,
and
heck yeah.
discouraged. And I'm like, how do I have this? Like, why didn't I find out about it sooner?
Yeah.
Um, like, just like, trying to figure out why I have it. I mean, because I went into the doctor, I'm like this young 23-year-old, and I'm told you have endometriosis and it's a leading cause of like infertility, all this stuff. So here I am 23 and I'm like, so you basically just told me that there's a possibility that I might not be able to have kids and I'm 23.
Yeah, like
Like what?
what if I find a guy in the future and blah blah blah.
Right. Right. And then they're like all this medication of like a low birth control
Yeah.
and stuff. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to take that into my body. But knowing that it was like the only medication for endometriosis
Yeah.
really that could help, it's like it's the only thing I can do.
Unfortunately, that's a hard decision.
Right, right. And it's like I didn't know how to handle it.
Yeah.
Except turning to God in prayer and hoping and like asking for his grace to accept what is my reality.
Yeah.
and living in it and just walking hand in hand with him. And it was only recently, and I would go like back and forth, questioning, and um, my faith would waver. I would even question, like, it sounds really bad, and I think it was, but I would question like my pro-life stance, or
Yeah.
I would have a lot of fear because I'm like, I know that I need to be open to life, I guess,
Yeah. I mean, if
but
something personal happens, I totally get it. You know,
yeah,
you question everything. That's how we're human. That's how we are.
right. It's like we're human. That's how it is, and I was just saying like, Lord, I want to be open to life, but at the same time, I don't want, like, knowing that I have something that, causes infertility and causes miscarriages. It's like I didn't want to be,
Right.
like, open to life knowing that my unborn child could potentially, get what I have or be affected, or,
Yeah.
that it can come in between my child and my child's life.
Right.
And it's like by being open to life, I felt like I was being open to that
Yeah.
in a way. But like through prayer, I feel like suffering, like God has helped me to surrender my will to His, and like conform my will to His will and my heart to His heart, and like understanding that, okay,
Right.
God, God allows suffering for a greater good to come out of it, and He's wanting a greater good to come out of it. And
For sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
and like vulnerability too.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Like it makes us vulnerable before Him,
Mhm.
and so we're able to grow in grace and virtue, and to empty ourselves, um, of our pride, and
Mhm.
um, yeah, like we can save souls, man, through suffering.
Totally.
Like redemptive suffering, like that's what it's about: saving souls, bringing as
Yeah.
much souls to heaven as possible through our suffering, and offering up of our suffering and uniting it to the suffering of Christ. And
Right.
yeah, yeah. Mm. Like God puts us on a mission, I think.
Yeah.
Like I feel like in suffering, God puts us on a mission. Like that's what I've learned. Having endometriosis is like, okay, yes, I'm sick, but in my suffering, God has given me a mission
Yeah.
that's gonna last for the rest of my life. 'Cause I'm gonna have this thing for the rest of my life.
Right. Right.
And it's like God's put me on a mission to, with my endometriosis, having it every day, even if I'm not like having crazy symptoms every day, just knowing I have it, and
Right.
bring that up, um, and bringing as many souls as I can to heaven through my endometriosis.
Yeah.
That's my purpose in suffering.
I think that's a good way to explain it too. Like with my autism, I was born with it, but I wasn't really diagnosed till
Mm-hmm.
I think I want to say preschool, kindergarten age. I was diagnosed.
Oh, wow.
Uh, My parents didn't know, so how was how
Mm-hmm.
they know? You know.
Right, right.
Um, but it was hard. I was a very hard child to deal with. I'll say that. I had with all my nonverbals, all that stuff, because I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know. I was not. It took me a while to understand it,
Yeah.
and learning with me. I had a computer had to teach me how to talk. I didn't talk on my own.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of steps to get to where I am today.
Right, right. And it's
Yeah.
like and how far you've come. Like,
Right. Like now
oh my gosh, like
I'm
you're
a chatty
incredible.
Cathy now.
Right. Oh man, I can relate because it's like I was born. Um, like, so okay, I so when I was born, because I was born like at 7.5 months gestation, I think.
Hmm.
So like not I wasn't 9 months in the womb yet. I was like 7 months, 7.5 months. And
Right.
so I have a twin. But like when we were born, I was like the littlest one out of
Yeah.
us. So
Yeah.
I was like 1.5 pounds. She was like 2.5 pounds or something. But like because of my weight and being 1.5 pounds, and I was like really, really sick. Um, and that like uh set the tone for like the rest of my life in a way.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
being sick and having asthma and uh just a lot of steps, and like you said, it's like so much to go through to get me to where I am now, but it's like it all,
It's worth it.
yeah, it's like it's worth it. And
Yeah.
um like knowing that I knowing that I was so sick, like I can't like when I was in the NICU, I was in the NICU for like 10 months
Yeah.
after birth, so like almost a year. But when I was in the NICU, I contracted an illness um, called necrotitis enterocolitis,
Hmm.
and it's very common among preemies, but
Right.
it's something that most preemies die from. And like knowing that I had an illness that most preemies die from, but like, and I was in the NICU for 10 months, and but knowing that I had that and all the surgeries I needed to have over the course of 10 months, and being like taken off of life support, like all of these things, it's like God, I feel like looking back, um, like God allowed all of that to happen for a reason and a purpose and for his greater glory and honor. Like
There's a
that's why.
reason we're all here today, or you're here today, for that matter.
Mm-hmm. Right. It's like
You
I'm
know?
here and it's
Like you've gone through
like he
all this
says
thing,
that.
all these steps in your life, and you're like, you know what, I can say that now because I am here.
Right. It's like I am here, like I'm strong. I'm like God is good.
Yeah, God is good
Mm-hmm.
all the
Right.
time.
Right. Like God allowed the two of us to go through what we went through, um, to make us strong and to for his glory and um uh, yeah, to like we're miracle people.
Oh heck yeah!
Yeah, it's
Like
incredible.
we all struggle with our inner like whatever we have,
Hmm.
but we overcome it.
Right, we overcome it, and it's like we have to try to see beyond what's right in front of us.
See the positive in things.
Yeah, the positive, like to see the positive and to be positive and not negative and
Yeah.
even optimistic.
Oh yeah. And that is hard to do, trying to stay positive when there's all these negative things going around in your life.
Hmm.
It's hard, I'll admit it, but I try to think the positive.
Yeah.
Hard as it is, I really do try.
Hmm. Right. And I guess that goes into like the I'm trying to say the word magnanimity.
Yes, you
But
got it.
magnanimity of suffering, which is really, I wrote a quote down about it. It's magnanimity is the stretching forth of the mind, heart, and soul, and the stretching forth of a person towards great things and towards excellence in and through our gifts and suffering.
That's a good quote.
Yeah.
It's very strong too.
Hmm. It's, yeah, and I'm like, that's what, like, thinking about suffering, like, suffering is helps us to have um, greatness of soul, greatness of
Yeah.
heart, and to stretch forth ourselves to others who are suffering, and to not just think about ourselves. And Like
Yeah,
there's always somebody who's going through something worse.
exactly. Just because our day is bad, imagine people in whatever country they don't have a home.
Mm-hmm.
You have a nice house to live in, you have heat, you have water,
Right.
you have clothes to put on. Some people don't. So if you think you have it
Mm-hmm.
bad, think of other people.
Yeah, it's like thinking of other people and stretch yourself out to people,
Yeah.
and like even like the suffering of, I don't know, feeling like you're less than other people
Mhm.
because if you're like stayed in life or whatever. I know that I've struggled with that so much.
Yeah.
Like comparison. It's like you can, in your own little corner that God's put you in, you can still stretch forth yourself to
Right.
people and like be Christ's image to them.
Mhm.
And having that magnanimity of soul and heart
Right.
in that way, and to honor God to the degree that He deserves in humility,
Yeah.
and in that way and in your suffering.
Right.
Yeah. There's this awesome quote that says like, um, "Who you are is God's gift to you,
Mhm.
but and who you become is your gift to God."
That's awesome. Yeah.
Hmm.
And it's so true.
Yeah, yeah, and it's like yeah, like who you are is God's gift to you, and who you become is your gift to God. And like who we become, like who is God wanting us to become, and what is God wanting us to grow in suffering?
Right.
Like what is He teaching me,
Yeah.
and what is He wanting to show me, or what is He wanting to rid myself of through this suffering, like
Right.
this purification of my heart and mind. Hmm. Um, and it's all about like um, to be magnanimous for God, for love of Him, and to stretch forth. And by, I feel like in suffering we have a lot of timidity.
Oh yeah. I think a good way to say is like we suffer as Jesus suffered. And like even Mary suffered. Like she
Yeah.
took on the gift of giving birth to Jesus as a virgin.
Hmm.
That's suffering.
Yeah, and it's like, oh my gosh, like I can't even.
Like you didn't have sex and yet I'm pregnant.
Right, it's like how, and then
It's
like thinking
amazing.
about, right, and it's like then like what were her family and her friends saying,
Yeah,
her
like
neighbors, Saint
liquid.
Joseph. Right? It's like you have to tell Joseph like that, like yes,
Like
I'm
by the
gonna
way,
have a way.
we didn't do it, but we are.
Right, and it's like I'm still a virgin, but like this happened.
Yeah.
And then like Saint Joseph's reaction, I'm like,
Like I just imagining his reaction. Oh my gosh.
yeah, and
Like what did we do? We didn't do
right,
it.
like, and like him thinking that like she like wasn't faithful to him or something.
Yeah.
When really that's not at all what happened. It was
No,
like
she never had sex.
completely,
She is a virgin and she had Jesus.
yeah, and it's like the angel Gabriel coming to her, and
Yeah, it's
like by the
amazing.
power of the Holy Spirit, um and it's like, yeah, like Mary's like the mother of God, and like she suffered. Like
Yeah.
somebody who like never committed any wrongdoing, any
Yeah.
sin ever, and she suffered, like apart from Jesus, like she suffered the most.
Yeah.
And yet she didn't. She was completely
She was not crucified like Jesus was, but
right.
eternally she really did suffer.
Mhm.
Watching her son die on the cross, that's tough.
Yeah. And it's like knowing that um she like she allowed herself to suffer. Like she allowed God's will to be done in her.
Yeah.
through her suffering. Um, and in that, like, her soul, I feel like Mary's great because, like, she magnified God and not herself.
Yes.
And, like, she is such a great example of, like, how to be in suffering.
And
And
she's
how
such
to be.
a graceful person. Like she's a perfect mother example of how all mothers should act
Yeah,
and be.
right.
Like, I mean, I look up to her. Like,
Me too.
I'm not a mother, but I look up to her.
Me too. I'm like she's such a great
It's just,
role model for women. I love it.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. Oh my gosh, we should do like a whole video on the Blessed Mother. Like that.
Oh my God. Heck yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That it will be the best video ever.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Oh my gosh. And like I love that Mary, she reject like a lot of the times in suffering we are timid,
Uh-huh.
meaning like we play at being small and shrink back.
Right.
But like Mary, she didn't like she wasn't timid. She wasn't playing at being small and she didn't shrink back.
Yeah.
But she embraced it and she went forth in it and united herself to Jesus' suffering
Yeah.
at the foot of the cross, like that crucified love.
Right.
Um, and
I'm
it's
going
like
to apologize for a second, but some doggy is gonna play with her toy. Just a heads up. So you will hear sound.
okay. Oh my gosh. Yeah, and it's like I feel like that's what we're called to do. It's to not shrink back and to not play small, but and to not have like timidity,
Yeah.
but to have humility,
Yeah.
like Mary did.
Mary is just a perfect example for all women,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Right.
And in our suffering, she suffered too.
Yeah.
So we can look up to her as the perfect example, perfect role model.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure. For sure. Oh my
Like
God.
even with your thing, like you could totally look up to her.
Right?
And I look up to her.
Yeah. And it's like, and then it makes me think too, like, how, um, like just her one, her humility, and like her, in her humility, um, like acknowledging the truth and rejecting, I mean, and stretching towards excellence in her suffering and how we are called to imitate her and to do
Yeah.
the same thing and despite our sufferings and weaknesses and littleness, like to know that
Right.
Jesus is attracted to that, like he's attracted to our littleness and our weaknesses
Exactly.
and our suffering. Um, and that in her humility, she wasn't just like a mother um, physically, but she was a spiritual mother. Like
Oh
she was
yeah.
a spiritual mother, and it's like,
And we've never fully personally met her, but we do know her within our faith.
mm-hmm, right, and like we're all like she's our mother, and like she's and we're all into and like her, like we're called to be mothers, even
Yeah.
if we're not ever like, if even if we don't ever physically give birth to a child, like we're all.
We still love our mothers, and we you know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna apologize. Someone wants her toy. Just throw it.
Right? It's like we can still be moms, like we can still be mothers
You can
and
be.
nurture.
You don't have to be a actual mother to be a mother.
Mm-hmm.
You can always show your love for someone, like even like another child. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to be their mother, but it's like adoption, like your thing, like
Right.
you know.
Yeah. It like oh, what's it called? Like spiritual motherhood.
Yes, yes,
Yeah. Spiritual motherhood. Like we're all like every woman is a mom.
yeah. Like
One.
I have a family that I know that they're foster parents. They have three of their own. They adopted one, and they have a foster child in their house right now.
Oh, that's so cool.
That's amazing.
Mhm.
All the foster children that they have had, I have like, oh my God, I've loved them unconditionally. I'm not
Mhm.
their mother. I'm not their foster mother, but we are we babysit for them when they need a break because they have a lot of kids. I get that.
Right.
But when those foster kids come over, I'm like, I'm in love.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And
Like
I
right
just have
now.
so much fun with the babies. They're so cute.
Oh, I love babies.
The
Oh my
one baby they have now, he's like 2 now.
gosh. Mhm.
Last time I saw him was before COVID, and he was like one, he was a little kid. Oh my gosh,
Oh,
I'm so big now.
oh my gosh. Yeah.
It's like how they grow. You see how they grow, and
Mhm.
it's amazing.
It is. I've been a nanny, and so like I've been nannying these kids for like I don't know, since August,
Yeah,
like August 11th I started, and oh my gosh, like even though I'm not their mom,
you can be spiritually their mother.
yeah, it's like I'm spiritually
Yeah,
their mom, and it's like they're so a part of my heart. Like even though I'm not their mom, I love them as if they're my own kids.
yeah.
Like that's how I see it every day
Oh
when I
heck
go to
yeah.
their house. It's like, hi guys, and it's so cute. Like that, I have a 5-year-old, a um, a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 2-year-old, and it's like, oh my gosh, like these kids, man, they're crazy and they're ambitious, but they're so sweet. And
Yeah.
it's, like sometimes it's so cute. The 2-year-old, he gets my name and his mom's name confused
Oh,
because
that's so
sometimes
cute.
like if he's wanting me to do something or like talking to me, he's like mom, and then he's like Miss Hannah.
Mama's Hannah.
Right?
That's adorable.
Mhm. He's like mom. I mean Miss Hannah, can you do this for me? I'm like sure, hen, whatever.
Oh,
Oh my gosh, it's so cute.
my youngest cousin first cousin that I have, he's younger.
Mhm.
So my aunt is like, there's a 10-year gap between my aunt and she's the baby, and then there's my other aunt, but they waited 10 years between my uncle, because there's my mom, my uncle, 10 years, and then my two aunts.
Oh wow.
So, my aunt is 15 years older than me,
Wow. Oh my gosh.
so she's younger.
Mhm.
But her kids are, I think of them. I mean, they're adorable. Oh my gosh.
Right. Right. It's
She
like I
has
go to the
she
park
has a
with my kids.
girl, and she's smart as a whip. Oh my gosh.
Mhm.
I don't know where she got that smart from. I think it's from her dad, but oh my gosh, she's smart. But then they have two boys, and there's the baby boy. I want to say he's 3 or 4, but oh my gosh, he is so cute. A little
Oh.
troublemaker, but he's so cute.
Oh my gosh. Same. My 2-year-old, and it's like it's so cool because like I don't know. It's like I love them as my own kids,
Yeah.
but it's cool because like I can. So okay, on my phone,
Hmm.
like I have this picture of the Blessed Mother, or when I'm at their house, like I look up like pictures of the saints and stuff just to pass
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
and and or if I'm bored or something, or to know that okay, they're with me too,
Yeah.
during the day. And so my kids, I put my phone down and they see pictures of the saints, and they're like, "Who is that? Like, who's that? Like,
Like
what are their
they're
names?"
interested in what you're doing, and
Right.
you're doing something that's so blessed and to look at, and
Mm-hmm.
telling them about it. It's really cool.
Yeah, it is, and it's like they're so interested, and it's like, Hannah, who's this? And then we literally go down the list of saints. Like this is Saint, like this is the
Yeah.
Blessed Mother. She's your mother too, and you need to love her. And I know that they're not Catholic, but it's like
But yeah,
it
it's
doesn't
still
matter.
teaching
Like
a
she's our
kid.
mother.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh, and this is Saint John Paul too. This is Saint
Yeah.
Mother Teresa, and it's like they're so like fixed. It's
Yes.
awesome.
It's awesome.
Mm-hmm. And then I'm like, do you know that you can be a saint too? They're like, yeah.
Of course, because
Of
kids know
course.
everything.
Right.
They're like, of course I know.
Of
Yes, I know.
course. Oh my gosh. Oh
Kids are
my
just,
goodness.
they're a blessing, I feel.
They are. They are such a blessing. Um, and I feel like children teach us so much
Mhm.
about, like, they teach us so much into how virtue,
Yeah,
and to like strip ourselves of ourselves and to be full of, like, to be full with God. Like, they're so simple, and
yeah,
God is so simple. Um, and like what I've been learning is like about suffering. What I've been learning like about magnanimity
yeah,
is like just allowing myself to be little and weak in the presence of God. Like working with kids, allowing myself to have self-control,
yeah,
which can also be like a lot of suffering because it's it's like sometimes kids act out and you're wanting to like yell at them or like something, but like in that suffering with things not going your way, it's like you can just have the cross before you. Be like,
yeah,
all
yeah,
right, I need to like have self-control and to just, you know, bring out, like, just show them Jesus. Like that's all you need to do.
yeah,
And that has to do with like magnanimity and like it isn't it isn't honoring it's not honoring yourself, but it's giving glory and honor to God by using the gifts He's given me, and so that He's known and loved and
yeah.
seen more, and not myself. Like that's what I've learned just working with kids.
I know another way of suffering is like, yeah, there's people who die when we're alive, and that's suffering too. Like we're mourning, we're suffering.
Right? Oh my gosh, that is like the loss of a
That's
person.
that's it's so hard, you know. I recently
Mhm.
lost it. So 5 years ago, I lost a friend who passed away. She was 23.
Oh my
She had
gosh.
I mean, her family has a heart condition, so that's all. It's all sad.
Right.
And recently, her mom passed away, and she was 52.
Oh my goodness, that is
And
young.
that's like with the whole family. I'm like, oh my, I feel so bad.
Mhm.
But within that, their suffering and with my suffering, that because I know them, so I'm dealing with that.
Mhm.
But you know that the only good thing I could see of this,
Mhm.
yes, they're gone, but now mother and daughter are together.
Yeah.
They're with God.
Right. And it's like that's such a comfort to know, like, like God.
God, it's all in God's hands.
Yeah, like it's all in God's hands. And even though we want it so much to be in our hands, like,
Yeah. We have no control over everything.
right.
Can't
And that's
control
what I've
everything.
learned in my suffering. It's like I I don't have control. Like
Yeah,
that, like that my life isn't mine,
yeah. You
but it's
gotta
in the
you
hands
gotta
of
go with the flow.
right. It's like you've got to go with the flow.
You can't you don't if you make a list and you expect all these things to happen, it's not gonna
Right.
happen that way. You gotta go with the flow.
Exactly. Just go with the flow. Like even like oh my gosh, here like okay. Yesterday I was working and I was driving my 5-year-old to school.
Mhm.
And or no, I drove her to school. Yeah, and she was just like screaming and yelling because like her mask was uncomfortable and I'm like,
Oh,
hey, there's a like it's okay. Like maybe they have a mask at school you can have, or I was offering her one of my masks in the
yeah,
car that for spares and extras. Or like I think my maternal instincts have like kicked in since I started this whole thing.
yeah, yeah,
um she was just like the whole way. I mean, it was 5 minutes, but like the whole way she was screaming and yelling and everything.
yeah,
And just like in my car, I have on my dashboard like a ton of pictures taped on my dashboard of like the saints and the Blessed Mother and Jesus and stuff.
yeah,
It's like wherever I go, they go with me.
yeah,
And I was just looking at them and just praying like I need to just be still in the present moment and accept what's going on in the craziness.
Exactly.
Or I was picking her up, and
You know, sometimes when people say they want help, they
mhm.
really just want, they don't want help. They just want you to listen, you know?
Right, they just want you to
So, yeah,
listen.
you don't always need to be the answer to everything. You don't
Right,
have to
right,
fix everything, you know? Just be a go with the flow person.
right. Go with the flow, and just like accept it as God's will.
Exactly.
Like everything, like God's will in the present moment.
Yeah.
And every morning, what's been coming to my mind is just like saying to God, like, Lord, I entrust this day to your divine providence, like whatever happens, like
Yes.
your divine providence.
You are in control, and I give this all to you.
Right, it's like I give it all to you.
I surrender to you.
Mm-hmm. I surrender it to you and do with it what you will. Like, use me as your instrument.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there's this really cool quote that says, like, the degree to which a person knows the love of God is the degree to which he wants to pour forth his love in the world. And oh my gosh, that is so powerful.
It is.
Like, the more we know and love God, the more we're wanting to give his love
Yeah.
to other people in whatever way possible.
Like God's love is unconditional.
Mm-hmm.
That you're not going to lose it ever.
Right, right. It's like we're not gonna lose it. It's like you don't have. It's not. It's
We can sin, we can make mistakes, but that's not
mhm.
going to stop God from loving us.
Right, and it's like his love has no like. It's not conditional.
Yeah.
It's not conditional, and it's unconditional.
Yes, exactly. You
Mhm.
need the
Yeah, you need the un, not the.
not the addition, the conditional, the unconditional.
Right, and to just always remember that we're like his beloved children,
Yeah,
and nothing you say or do can like stop that.
right.
Right.
So I totally think our next video should be on Mary, by the way.
Oh, for sure, for
Yeah,
sure.
heck yeah.
Yes, yes.
Wow. Thank
This
that.
was a
We
good.
got a lot of good stuff to talk about from today.
Yeah, and it's like with those watching this video, like I hope you've learned a lot and that it
Yeah.
blesses you and that God's grace is with you today. And
Yes. Amen.
mm-hmm, to know that like there's purpose in your suffering and you can suffer but also have joy in suffering.
Exactly.
And like the
There's a
joy of the
purpose for
Lord.
everyone's life in suffering.
Mm-hmm. Right, and to be a witness of joy and of the gospel just by how you respond to it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I hope you all enjoyed our video number 3.
Number 3, yes, so exciting.
Yeah.
And
We will talk next week
mhm.
on Mother Mary.
Right, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe.
Yes.
And any comments that would be will
That'd be
read.
awesome. Yeah. And reviews. Leave some reviews.
Yes, and reviews.
We would love some reviews.
Yes.
Alrighty.
All right.
We will talk next week.
Yes, Monday next
Yeah.
week.
Alrighty.
All right.
All right.
Bye. God
Bye.
bless.